Hi everyone. The Lord of the Rings, the Chronicles of Narnia, The Matrix, Star Wars. Now there is a common thread running through all these stories. The common thread is the war between good and evil. Each of these stories is based on a much older story that was recorded thousands of years ago in the Holy Scriptures or in the Bible. And this archetypal narrative develops gradually, chronologically, from the beginning to the end of the Bible, from the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation. And it culminates at the time when Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross. And there are some key principles that you find, key elements of these stories that deal with the big war between good and evil. And you find these principles embedded in all of these stories. They're really based on the story of what happened in the war between good and evil as presented in the Bible. Now, this is the first similarity, obviously. There is a conflict between good and evil. There is a conflict between the light and darkness, between two sides, two opposing sides. So you find in all these films, you find the same in the scriptures. The second key element is really dealing with the protagonists or protagonist and the antagonist. There is a duel between the key characters of the story. And they may be some minor characters, the two of them, and there's the two major characters, the two leading protagonists, or protagonist and antagonist. And there's a duel between them. And it's a fight to the end, really, that takes place between these. And this is what you find in all these films with the key characters in their stories. So whether you talk about the Matrix or the Star Wars or the Lord of the Rings or Narnia films, it's the same really in principle. Another key principle that is shared by all these things is there is another realm beyond the visible realm. There is the invisible realm that is involved in some way. It has a touching point with the visible realm. And there are forces at work in the visible world that are actually from the invisible realm. So this is to a greater or greater degree, this is the case really in all of the films, one way or the other. And you find the same in the Bible. Another key principle that clearly has been taken from the Bible really is the principle of temptation. And specifically you have in some of these films temptation to side with evil by using force or power in a compromising way. The power is offered to you, but there is always a small print and price you pay if you take this power, because in some ways it robs you of your freedom, it's enslaving, it's compromising. And this is what you find, that it is actually really self-destructive, ultimately, eventually, that's what happens. This is what you find in all these films, and you find the same principle in the scriptures when you talk about the temptations of Christ in the desert, the devil who tempts him. And there is a clear conflict between the two, struggle. And there is a culmination to this conflict. There is the beginning, there is the culmination, and there is the end. And this is what will be addressed in this series on Jesus on the cross at the center of the war between good and evil that affects both the visible physical realm and the invisible spiritual realm. Believe it or not, take it whichever way you want to take it, but I hope you do have patient endurance to listen through these presentations, because you will learn something and you will be enlightened. You don't have to agree with it, you don't have to accept it, but you will you will benefit from this. So when we look at all these films and we look at the key images from the scriptures, and here we have Jesus carrying the cross and the crowd around him. What you see here is only seen through the visible spectrum and just the physical realm, but there is a thumbprint there, fingerprint left. There is something else going on behind the scenes, something much, much greater, much more significant than just an execution of a man in the Roman Empire. That was very common. There's something else happening. There are fingerprints all over the place. Fingerprints of someone from the invisible spiritual realm pulling the strings in the back. And there's a twist to the story, and the story is really wonderful. And it's real. It's the genuine one, and all these others fictional and science fiction stories that we love, read and watch, are really based on this. But they're not real. And this is real. This is real. So I hope, again, you have patience and endurance to stick with these presentations and to listen to them. And some of them are a bit more from a bird's point of view, bird's perspective, just a summary, big picture. Some of them go into more detail, but as you go further into each presentation, there is more and more detail revealed, and the curtains are being pulled away more and more. You can see really what's happening behind the scenes in the spiritual realm and how it affects this physical realm. So hope you enjoyed. Thank you.